Oh, rotate your phone. You can't turn your phone while recording. We're live. Haha. Hi, everyone on the More York page. Thanks for joining us for our first More York moment. My name is Samm Smeltzer. I am the CEO and founder of Leadership Arts Associates, where we have our meetings. Everyone else is here. You can't see them because I'm nice and didn't put them on camera. But this is kind of a new practice that we will start doing every second and fourth Thursday of the month. Where different members of More will be coming to you live this way, but then also here, if you want to join us for coffee and network with us before, because we do that for about half an hour prior. And we're going to just share about a product, a concept, a service, an idea. It's basically our time to share with everybody how we feel about something. So today my topic I picked is why busy professionals should consider traditional Chinese medicine. And this really came from a place of I currently am nerding out on traditional Chinese medicine, specifically Medical Qigong. And Medical Qigong is basically a major facet of traditional Chinese medicine. So you have your martial arts, you have your acupuncture, you have Medical Qigong. They all kind of flow in there. Acupressure, which is a form of traditional Chinese medicine massage, where they basically use the pressure points in the energy meridians to release them. And so what Medical Qigong is basically it focuses specifically on the energetic bodies. It really focuses on taking care of the energies that traditionally the Chinese believe is what helps us be alive. So it's really funny because Joe was talking about how a great referral for him is anyone that's going or is dying, which we're all dying a little bit every single day. But traditional Chinese medicine makes the argument that Western medicine strictly studies the dead. They look at the body and the physical body and what's happening in there. Whereas in traditional Chinese medicine, the focus is on the living. And that's where the energy body starts to come into play. So I've come up with 3 reasons as to why, as busy professionals in your lives, you should consider specifically Medical Qigong. But before I share those, I just want to back up and just say that the true intent of Medical Qigong is doing something called creating conscious harmony within your body. It's increasing your level of awareness and intention of what peace feels like within you before anything else comes into play, before kids, before work, before any kind of opinions and started to sway us when we were born, how we felt as little tiny babies at peace before any other outside influences happen. That's what Medical Qigong is about. It's about restoring that internal harmony and giving us that conscious awareness of it. And it's empowering you to do that on your own. So yes, there are treatments for Medical Qigong where a practitioner will work on you, but the main goal is that you start doing exercises and increasing your own awareness so that you have a personal practice, not so much a practice where you're paying a practitioner to work on you to help get your energy right. But before we even get into all of that, I think it's really important just to go back to the reasons why. So the 3 reasons why that I think that you should do Medical Qigong or consider traditional Chinese medicine as busy professional is clarity, to gain clarity, to be able to be resilient, because I know that's a big trend right now in business, and number 3, to have endurance. So clarity. One of the primary pieces of Medical Qigong is the act of purging. That's what they call it. Mm-hmm. Every time I say it, though, it makes me think of the movie The Purge, which is an awful imagery. But it's basically going through and cleansing your energy meridians. And they've actually measured these energy meridians in the body. You can pull up, you can Google this, energy meridians on Google, and you'll actually see maps of them running through the body that they have actually measured and found. But basically, in the purging process, it's going through and removing anything that does not belong there. It's removing any energy that's become stagnant, that's negative, and allowing them to be open and flow freely. Just like blood flow, like when pumping to the heart. Anytime there's a clog, we know that that's something bad. Same thing in energy medicine. They also believe that if you have a cluster or something that clogs in energy medicine in one of your meridians, it can manifest into a physical physical disease. That's where they think it actually starts to materialize. So those, like, for example, the lungs are someone who holds, the lungs are where we hold deep emotional traumas associated with grief. And if we don't process our grief, those individuals are likely to develop respiratory issues or asthma. And those are from energy clusters or stagnant energy that just starts to ball up and starts to affect our actual organs. So the other thing about purging, just bringing it back, is most of us are in a environment where we interact with people. And when we interact with people, our energy bodies also interact with other people's energetic bodies, and we have the ability to absorb their energy into our own. Mm-hmm. And that's when I think things become really messy. I know for me, I will take on other people's emotions so strongly that I don't know what I'm feeling or wanting versus what someone else is wanting or feeling or needing. And doing some very basic purging exercises of just cleaning out the meridians allows you to very quickly go back to a place of who you are, what your intent is, and what you want to do, especially in a high stress situation where you're just so concerned about making the wrong decision and you have all of this input from all these different parties. How do you make sure you just remove any other energies that's not your own, that's kind of just stuck on you, and return back to a place where you can be clear and focused. And that's one of the biggest benefits that I've seen very quickly is some of these exercises take as little as 2 minutes and can quickly remove that toxic energy that we all know that we've picked up, and it's yucky. Whether you believe in energy or not, you've gone to a place and you know that it's just made you feel yucky. Mm-hmm. Or you've hung out with someone and then you leave and you feel more drained. Mm-hmm. It's because you've taken on someone else's energy. Number 2 is resilience. So one of the things that is really important in energy medicine is we talk about these things called Wei Qi fields, which are basically your energetic bodies, and you have 3 of them. You have a physical body, which is usually about anywhere from 1/2 inch to maybe 6 inches from your body, depending on the person. Then you have an emotional body that's somewhere between 12 to maybe 2 feet from your body. And then anywhere beyond is your 3rd, which is your spiritual, your divine connection, your call to do greater good. And so those are your 3. Whenever we have high levels of stress, whether we do something bad to our body, whether that's eating or engaging in high levels of alcohol or anything that we know that's technically not good for us, it breaks down a hole in our barriers, in one of our barriers. And these Wei Qi fields are our protective barriers. So essentially we want things to get stopped there so they don't come into our physical body. Mm. And the whole idea is that because I haven't been taking care of myself, I have all these holes. So now with high stress in a work environment, I'm now suffering physically from a health perspective because I'm letting things in. And so practicing Medical Qigong not only strengthens those fields, but makes them so they're more resilient so that things can't get through, so that you have these really nice protective barriers, almost like a supercharged immune system on a physical front, but an emotional front, but also on a spiritual or feeling connected to whatever your why is. So it's not necessarily has to be God or whatever your belief system is, but just having that connection to knowing that you have a purpose in life, which is really what it's about. And then the last one is about endurance. So when I started doing Medical Qigong, I was challenged by some health practitioners to basically give up powerlifting, which was my exercise of choice, and I really enjoyed it. But there was concerns about the large amount of stress that was happening on my body, and if I didn't stop, I would continue to go down a path that was probably not healthy. And so they asked me for the purposes to just kind of stop and then monitor to see what happened. And I was really concerned about losing muscle. I was really concerned about being weak. That's always been something that's been really important to me. But all of the muscle tone has stayed intact. And it's all been from these meditative standing postures. So if you look at Medical Qigong, when you come in, it's not like coming to a Zumba class. Sometimes there is movement. Sometimes there's very little movement. So depending on where the intention is, if it's more internal or it is external, and we call sometimes the movement more like bells and whistles. We feel like we have to be moving because we can't just believe it all internally happening. But leading to being physically stronger. But not only that, having sustained amount of energy. So one of the last practices of Medical Qigong is helping to cultivate energy and increase energy that's in our bodies, and having excess so that we have more to give throughout the day, whether that's to take care of the kids or exercise. All those things are pulling from our energy pool, and if we don't have a lot there, that's when we are really tired. Even though exercise is supposed to make us feel better, but if we're so tired from all the stressors of life, it actually can backfire and not be as productive as it is. And so Medical Qigong is this really nice blend of meditative practice plus exercise that feeds your soul and creates a level of balance. And it's meant to, for me, predominantly, as I'm still working on my health, has really served as my predominant exercise as well as my spiritual kind of meditative practice, and has helped predominantly in my personal and professional growth with the level of clarity. And so I think, as much as I've been watching all these things this past week, all these people putting out these motivational videos, these like push harder, go through the challenges, you need to work harder. And it keeps coming up in the back of my mind. Have we pushed people to just keep working harder and go towards the grind, and that we're forcing almost burnout to occur, when really what we need to be teaching is more of a sense of balance. We're not, you disconnect from everything, which is needed and necessary, but when it talks about balance, is that you have this internal connection, that you have a state of true wellness that is so much more than just my physical body. It's how I am functioning emotionally and how I'm functioning on a higher level as well. So those were my 3 reasons why I think busy professionals should consider Medical Qigong. Does anyone have any questions? Anyone out there have any questions? Even if you're watching at a later date. If you're watching at a later date, feel free to type and we'll answer those too. Nancy's neck is in the camera.
Oh.
So
I was trying to finish that.
Sam, tell us what it takes to become an active participant in Medical Qigong.
Yeah.
And you, as the person who's going to lead it, what does it take to get there?
Absolutely. So to become a practitioner of Medical Qigong, or to just have it start to engage in your life, it's just really about starting new habits. So there's a couple of different ways to do that. Number one, I'm currently being trained to be a practitioner, to be a Medical Qigong therapist, will technically be the title at the end of the year, where I've learned how to do actual treatments on other people's energetic bodies. So I actually go in and I will help purge and tonify your organs, as well as regulate your energy, which is basically what you do when you do the exercises. But at the end of each of those, you are given prescription exercises to start building up your own practice. And as you do that, the whole intention is at some point you take over maintaining your own well-being, and you no longer need those energetic tune-ups, which is what they're called. The other place is just to start. So we have classes that we're starting here 3 times a week, one of which will be 7:30 on Thursday mornings. So if people are interested in more, come, and then you get to hang out, have coffee, and then hang out with us. It'd be a really awesome morning for you. But just getting in those practices and feeling the benefits of, even if you just come for a half an hour class. The exercises are not complicated. You'll slowly start to learn about them and being able to do them on your own. And I also have people who will ask me at the end, if I'm really struggling with anger, like I have really bad road rage, is there certain exercises that I should be doing? Because our emotions are directly tied to what's happening in our body. They really show us they're like symptoms. And another way that our body tries to communicate and our brain tries to communicate with us, help me. So anger could be a fatty liver. It could be a health issue that's happening in the liver, and it's materializing as anger and frustration. So it's really just about starting in very simple ways. Thank you.
Very cool. Cool.
Any other questions?
How did you come to find Medical Qigong? How did you discover it?
So, okay, this is a really like trippy story, but here's the honest truth. The way I found Medical Qigong is when I started Leadership Arts Associates. I've always been super sensitive as a child, very in tune with other people's emotions, and they always derailed me very quickly, and I didn't know how much so. When I started doing Leadership Arts Associates, I became very interested in doing more deeper rooted work, and as a result started tapping into things that I didn't really want to process, and so resulted in basically these personal awakenings and having to face some childhood, I guess, obstacles that I kind of crushed away. That resulted in me seeking out a holistic practitioner who made mention about energy work, and she was actually doing it on me. Not Medical Qigong. It was just a holistic practitioner, almost like different forms of Reiki, which is another format of energy work. And she had made mention that she thought that I, with my sensitivities, would make a great energy practitioner. And I didn't know what that meant. She let me go, but she didn't let me. She encouraged me to go to Reiki level 1 just to get a sense of what it was like. I was a complete freak out in level 1 Reiki because it was all brand new to me. It's not something, the whole idea of working someone's energies was really weird and new to me. So anyways, long story short, that teacher at that time kind of quit our relationship. She said that I had reached my growth period and she didn't feel like we should be working together anymore, and that I was ready for our next step. And so I kind of had no direction, and it was, I didn't know where it was going. And I actually went to an open house. So yeah, come to open houses because this is where magical things happen. I went to an open house, met with an astrologer who's actually well known in the area, that you have to wait months to get an appointment, but she was there, and for $20 she would do a reading. And she did a reading, and she said, "You're looking for the next step." And I was like, "Sure." And she said, "You're looking for like education or like a coach or a teacher." And I said, "Yes, I am." And she said, it's Qigong. And I was like, "Qi what?" And she was like, "Qigong." And I'm like, "Okay, yeah, that sounds cool." And she's like, "Well, you might have to travel far for it." And I was like, "Okay, well, where do I travel to where they're not, like, how do I even find a legit teacher?" And she said, "Well, can you give me your card?" And then Monday she emailed me and she said, "Your teacher's in Gettysburg. His name is Ted. Everyone raves about him, and he's right there in your backyard." And I signed up, and now Ted deals with me and helping me sort through being super sensitive, but all of it being really new. And so I myself was the big skeptic in all of this, and it literally is changing my life. And I can see the difference when I do it and when I don't do it. My family can see the difference. Even the girls will say, "You haven't been doing your Qigong. You better go do your Qigong." Oh, Josh will say, it's been a rough couple of days. Have you not been doing your practice? And so they can physically see the difference, which is cool.
York County has a significant level reliance on faith-based things. How would you say that Qigong complements and supports the York County religious beliefs?
Well,
versus being a religion in itself, where somebody might make that supposition.
Yes. Well, Qigong is not a religion, but at its core, the belief in being connected to a higher good is what magnifies the healing power that happens on the table. A lot of the words, when you look at the works of, when you're doing anything, it could be seen as blessings, they could be seen as prayers. They call it sometimes connecting to the divine. I know that my teacher prays to Jesus when he's ready to do a treatment. I know others who are not, but they believe in the universe. And really, when someone is working with Qigong, it's about your personal belief system. It's about whatever that is. But recognizing that there is an energy within all of us. And I think any one of us, if you've ever gone to a space and it didn't feel right, you met somebody and you just didn't like them and you didn't know why, that's all energy that's coming into play. And I think the main goal of this is that not exploring something like this, you're ignoring a whole part of your wellness. And where do we have the most issues in the workplace? It's communication, it's relationships. I'm pointing at Nancy because we always get phone calls to go deal with team dynamic issues. And sometimes I now start to wonder how much of this is rooted in a breakdown in your emotional, energetic body. And that's why we're having perception issues. And how do I encourage someone to heal themselves? And so there's lots of ways that this can be spinned into a spiritual aspect. There's actually a form of medical Qigong or Qigong that's spiritually based, where they do practice and they openly pray. And that's, and then the place that I've been coming in is strictly from a medical perspective. These are the tactics that have been used in the hospitals. This is the level that they're starting to explore to bring into even Western medicine, like acupuncture is. If this is a complement that should be happening, they're starting to measure the results and those kinds of things as well. Yeah. Any other questions? All right. Whoa. There's Joe.
There's me.
There I am.